All right. Now we are a minute past, so let's kick today's webinar off. So officially, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar organized by GAPS with the topic of Gemini in action, mastering AI in your workflow. Some big words. Let's see how we can back them up in today's presentation. Our purpose is to give you an insight how to harness Google's Gemini's capabilities in your flow of work. Get some concrete examples how Gemini integrates with your existing tools and helps you amplify the workflows. And understanding why leading AI adoption is an important step and key to actually succeeding in making AI work for you. Today, we have myself, so Kasper Bör as your host, and then we have some experts on the line, Ville Immonen from Google and Matilda Kivinen from GAPS. And the agenda in short is going to be a very short introduction to GAPS, who might not be thus familiar with us, and then jumping into the beef of things and where Ville will give us a tour how Gemini for Workspace is there to unleash the future of work for everyone. Then I will give you a short demo into Gemini and its different capabilities, something hopefully new for most of you today, so keep your eyes peeled. Then Matilda will give us some insights into the AI adoption, and then in the end we will have some time for a Q&A. So you can leave your questions on the chat. And actually on the next slide, I think we have some house rules. So the webinar will be recorded. You will receive the recording in your email after the session. And those who might not be able to attend in person will receive the recording as well. All the questions can be left at the chat. We've received some beforehand, so we will try to address at least some of those in the end, and hopefully get some concrete things that you have on your mind answered. But yeah, GAPS very shortly, how we've come to this spot in time is we worked together with Google for the past 15 years. And what we do really well is, good question from Harry, if the sounds are coming really well. I hope everybody else is hearing. Okay, it should be okay. So I'm not just talking to myself here for the next hour or so. Briefly, what we've done over the past 15 years is help our customers build scalable and secure cloud infrastructures and digital work environments, now especially powered by AI, because of the recent changes now, the Gemini capabilities are actually usable by everyone who is a Google Workspace user. So we've done this, and especially with people in mind. So how really to enhance your own ways of working with these capabilities and make them benefit your business. We work with small startups to scale ups, as well as large corporations and public entities. And I have to say that in recent times, this has been more and more interesting how many large organizations are looking to get the benefits of AI into their operations. But enough of us. Let's get to the midst of things around Gemini, and I would like to ask Ville to hop on stage and give us a bit of introduction into Gemini.
All right, thanks, Casper, and hey, thanks for having me again on here. I think it was a few months when we had the first session regarding the Gemini, so it's great to see that we have a good audience today to kind of want to hear what's going on our end. So just for a moment, let me get a couple of slides open. So Casper, if you can confirm me that you see them. Oh,
yeah,
awesome, good. So hey, I will spend 20-ish minutes going a little bit about how do we see from the Google end happening on the generative AI and what are we actually introducing to the market and why it's relevant for the topic today about how you as a kind of employee, same as me, can take this into the use and make your daily kind of work much more efficient and much more funnier at the same time. But as I'm thin, I tend to start always with something negative at the beginning. So if we kind of look a recent study that was just announced by Boston Consulting Group, I think they came up with this study around beginning of January, where they have been kind of analyzing of the adaptation of Gen AI in the Nordic countries, and especially on if we use the kind of white collar worker as a now kind of substitute on there, that that around 90% in all Nordics have been taking it on their weekly basis as their assistant on there. And compared to the global level, we are pretty far behind on that one. And what does this indicate for me is that at the moment we are still, as companies, we are lacking the kind of the view and the vision that how should we take these tools into use? How should we enable our employees to use them in their day-to-day operation? And of course, one aspect on all this is cost element as well. That does it actually bring me the return of investment if I will enable my employees with these solutions? And that, if we kind of look from the typical, I think it was Jeffrey Moore who kind of came up with this famous book about transferring companies over the famous chasm. So meaning that, if we think about any technology nowadays, is that you have the kind of the early enthusiasts on anything. You can put this on Tesla, Apple iPhone, these people who queue days even outside just to be the first one to kind of experience the new technology, to the point that you are kind of turning into the mainstream, that it comes as the majority of the people using the tools, and it's something that comes as a status quo. So how we as a Google, we say that we are pretty much here still at the early adopter phase. We talk a lot about AI. If you look for the media has been talking for at least 2 years nonstop every day. Hundreds of articles comes out about AI itself. But when it comes to, once again, how enterprises have been taking it into use, we are still at the tipping point that, how do we get from the early adopters to the pragmatics on there? And like Casper said it just a moment ago, we made a decision at the beginning of this year that we do not want to kind of put a cost element there that is limiting the companies to not take these tools into the use. And therefore, we wanted to start offering this part of our business and enterprise plans for the employees. So these are the plans that is typically targeted for our white collar employees. And with this one, what we want to kind of enable is exactly that. How do we do this jump over? How do we take this into our daily operation? How do we actually use this more often? So we as a Nordics, we actually can shift this from the left to the more to the right side. That we can take this into our daily operation, and we will be making our lives much more efficient to do that. So what do we actually enable? So last time when I was visiting on these webinars, we talked a lot about that, how the generative AI and Gemini is part of our workspace apps. So that was something that is included there. So how do we have this in our Gmails, our calendars, our editors, our Drive, how it's in the inline products or prompt in the side panel as assistant for you. On top of that, we have our Gemini.google.com that might be the most familiar for most of us, especially from the consumer world. So that's being our kind of assistant, our AI expert, where you can have a very complex questionnaires all about explaining code, debugging your codes, and so on and so forth. But also something that has been getting a lot of attention lately is our Notebook LM product. I personally kind of have been helping me quite a lot on doing very difficult deep analysis of multiple documentation. So for the enterprise and business users, we introduced what is called the Notebook LM Plus. So we gave a little bit more corporate and enterprise features there that we know that companies are looking after. And what at the end Notebook LM is that you can ground based on your own sources, information where you can do different kind of analysis, questionnaires, build your own kind of study books and things like that. And I know Casper will later on have a demo where he'll be showing this one to us. So let's talk about that in a little bit later. So then if I kind of look back a little bit, so on those early adopters who have been taking the tools into use, so in average, what has been reported back to us is that on average, people are saving around 105 minutes per week on their work. So at the end, if you think about generative AI, it's all about, how do we do the repetitive task much more efficiently? How do we kind of, is it then creating a new idea, your research, or check your grammar, or get the information from one tool to another, and how do I get that one more efficient? That's at the end, in my opinion, the kind of the biggest gain on the generative AI for us as employees. And then what more important for me is the percentage on the right hand side, saying that those users who have been using the tools, if we would go now and took it away from them, close to 4 out of 5 would say that they would miss it, and they would feel that they are not so efficient on there. So it's a once again new thing that we have to learn as employees and human beings. How do we adapt? How do we use these things in our life? So what we're going to talk today is a little bit more about the new products. So last time we kind of revisited on the product inside of Workspace. I'm pretty sure Gabs can share you guys the link to that recording after the event itself if you didn't have the chance to say it. So today we are more focusing on the new tools that we introduced into our portfolio. So if I start with the Notebook LM, like I said, it's your personal AI research tool. It can, ground the material based on multimodal information and data. It can be videos, it can be picture, it can be audio, it can be text. So you can put their 4-hour-long YouTube video, and you can use that as your sourcing material to ground different questionnaires on there, or different, I think it's 500,000 pages long or words long PDFs are the limits at the moment that we support per PDF. So you can upload this documentation and do a very complex questionnaires on there. So in all simplicity, how does it work? Is that you basically upload your documentation on there. It says 500,000 words per source. You can upload the documentation there, and then you can start to have a chat with it. You can ask questions. You can ask that make me the kind of the most common pointers out of the source material regarding risks, or tell me about the summary of this source material, focusing as a briefing for my management team. And from that one, what we get out is audio file. So basically audio overview, that is what people tend to call as a podcast feature. So it's a conversation between two AI generated persons who actually discuss through the topic. And I personally, I love to do that with my clients, that sometimes I kind of just take their annual reports and things that I can find on online. And I ask them to kind of summarize it, that, why it's important that they look into the generative AI in their line of business. I just sent that audio file them as an email that, hey, have a look on this one, listen on that one. And if this is something you want to discuss, give me a call. So, new ways, once again, how we can actually kind of, approach our clients or our kind of prospects on there, that how to share the information. So what are the kind of the benefits on this thing is that as we as a Google, we are very strong when it comes to security and your personal privacy. So all the data is grounded based on our terms and conditions that we share around the Workspace tools. So we do not use any of the prompts or the data sources to train any models. Your data is your data, and that's something what we are very seriously always taking into, and I will share a little bit more later on the security part. It's grounded on the source that you give it, so it doesn't start to hallucinate or go somewhere outside to kind of come up with the conclusions. So if it doesn't find it based on the source material, it doesn't give you the answer, or it gives you the answer that based on what you're looking for in these source materials, there is this kind of information available. And you can kind of share that one in the Snap. So when you do different kind of sourcing questionnaires there, you can share that with your colleagues, and they can kind of have a look on there. So I'm doing it very often with my colleagues that when they have questions, for example, our terms and conditions, I have built my own kind of a Notebook LM kind of a learning path. And I told them, hey, go first, have a look on there. If you don't find it from there, then ping me and I will help you to find it from there. So, once again, how you can build this kind of very extensive knowledge base and share that with your colleagues that, if you need something, have a look there first. And like I said, it's multimodal and also multilingual. So I think we support more than 120 languages. So it doesn't matter if the material is in Swedish, Finnish, Japanese, English, whatever. it still understands that one, and you can have the prompting and the questionnaires in your native language. So it gives a very, very efficient way to kind of have a very vast access on information. Is it academical studies and so forth? Good. Then we have our Google Vids. So Google Vids is something that we actually introduced already at the end of last year, but I wanted to bring it up here because not so many people have yet had the chance to actually try it. And this is totally new product that we released. And this came from the need that what we see that the customers and the users are looking for new media, how they can share information, how they share their stories, is it internally or with their customers. So, as we think about our daily life, work is getting much more noisier around us. There is constant, impulses coming to our way. If it's mobile, having text messages, notification, emails popping up, we have different kind of information coming there. And, that is shrinking our kind of span of focus. So multitasking is probably one of the biggest kind of thing that at the moment kind of cumbers us hard to be productive in our daily life. So I would like to ask a question from the audience at this point that, what do you think as a time on average people can pay attention to one screen? Meaning that I'm now telling this one, so how long in time does that take from average people to focus on? So put it in the chat on the webinar. So I will have a look which kind of things we have. We have 3 minutes at least there mentioned. Do we get any else? 47 seconds from Paula, 7 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 12 seconds, couple of seconds. All right. So we have from few minutes to a couple of seconds. And I think Paula has been kind of reading this one because it's 47 seconds. So that's the study on the attention span, that how long do we actually have before we start to kind of lose our focus. So if you think, I didn't probably manage to get first to the first slide before first one of you actually started to look your emails or read the newspaper or something. So the kind of the world is very noisy. That's what I tried to say. There's a lot of things that takes our focus. And if we think as a video, as a media, consumers, 96% are saying that, they prefer to actually look video as an explanatory way. Is it then that I'm buying a new TV, I'm looking reviews about TV, or if I look at, how do I assemble this IKEA furniture, if I have lost the manuals on somewhere. So video is a very common thing, how we like to consume information nowadays, not only reading or not only watching pictures, but, having these different medias combined together. And what we kind of see is that video is coming more and more common. So, our customers, they are reporting that, they prefer video as a formatting way, how to share information inside. But it's not that easy. If you think about creating videos nowadays, it requires special skills from you. You need to understand different video editing tools. There is a cost element involved there. So you typically don't have the budget to buy it on everyone. Of course, it varies, depends on your line of business, what you do as a company. But in general, typically it's something that is bought for certain users only. And we saw that, this is something we want to start changing. We want to make it something that is easy for everyone to create different kind of video content that they can share inside of their company or with their customers. And this was the kind of the starting point for the Google Vids. So idea is that with same kind of way as we do prompting today, you can do a video by prompting this, and you can round that up with the documentation that you have. Is it then that I have, for example, meeting minutes from my kind of leadership team meeting, I want to make that one as a summary video that I will be sharing with a larger group of people. I can attach on those meeting minutes there, or is it my sales material, etc. And I know that Casper has been preparing something, so we will see one example maybe later today. But at the end, the focus is there that, make it simple, make it accessible, make it so that, it doesn't feel cumbersome. It feels more like it's enjoyable to be doing those. Video is some form that some people feel uncomfortable being in front of it. So that's also something that we take in consideration. So we do have also AI audio embedded on here. So you do not have to have this kind of a presentation where you talk to a camera. You can prompt the content that it should be saying, and AI is generating you different kind of voiceovers on there. That is kind of an explanatory for the topic that you want to share. And this is something that we kind of introduced, and we want to kind of, a lot of our customers to take it into use just to kind of get the feeling about it, that, what if we kind of don't have to have meetings, but instead of that one, we share media on the different video formats. Good. Then moving on to the Gemini Advanced. So Gemini Advanced is our gemini.google.com. So that's our interface where we have the kind of your assistant, where you can have different questions. It's also in the mobile world, so it's available in the Android and iOS worlds, where you can have a conversation and questionnaires for very complex topics. But the thing that at the moment is kind of bringing most attention and most interest on there is something as we call as a deep research. So deep research is one of our LLM models that is inside of the advanced model that is available now for the customers. And at very simple form, it is a tool to do a research before behalf of you. So you can say that I have a client, I will just name drop someone, let's say Google in this case, I want to know that what was Google's annual income in 2024? What are their strategies? List me 5 things that are currently things that I should be talking about. By the way, this is my company. This is what I do. And what it does, it starts to collect you the information based on that. It builds you this kind of synthesis data and kind of research model on there that you can start to modify that, okay, analyze based on steps 1 to 10, these things, connect that one for Nordic markets, for example, and give me an outcome. And from that one, what it does, it generates you a very extensive report that you can use. You can then take that report, you can take those sources, take them, for example, to the notebook LM and continue the conversation there or inside of the deep research model itself. And this is something that Casper will also show shortly. How does it actually look like? Then we have gems. So gems are something that you can build as your, let's call them custom AI agents. So basically it's a repeatable bot that you can create inside of the Gemini Advanced to do different tasks that are typically repeatable in your line of business. So is it then in the marketing, for example, if you do your kind of click analysis, how your website has been performing or your customer journeys that, where do you have drop off, how your journey is impacting that. So you can base your own model. How do you want to analyze this one? Build that as a gem. So every time when you get the data set, you can just upload it there and it does the analysis for you. Or then it can be more simple, for example, grammar correction. So it can correct your grammar if you're not native speaker. Is it in Finnish or Swedish or English? So you can have that one to just correct your content to kind of make sure that it's properly written on there. And the thing that we are introducing is that we are bringing the gems as a part of your workspace app. So you will find the gems to be connected on your different editors. So if you work on our Google Docs, you can launch the gems on there and have the data inputted directly between these two. Or is it then sheets or slides and so forth? So that's something that is there already. So I recommend go and play around with it. We have some pre-made models on there that you can have a play around. But if not, just feel free to kind of try it on there and take that also into your daily life. Good. Then what we announced actually, I think last week, or it was the week before that one already, is that we do now support the Nordic languages in our side panel. So what we mean with support the Nordic languages, so we did have the support for the Nordic languages for quite some time ago, but instead of how our competitors are doing this, we do the kind of language introduction a little bit differently. So we do not use any translation API to translate the English content to local contents. Instead of that one, we want to train our models on the actual native language. And to do that, the actual outcomes start to be much more accurate and more proper. And that will take some time on there. But now the Nordic languages are introduced there. So you can have your prompting in Finnish, you get the outcome in Finnish. You can still connect different language documentation on there, but the actual language itself is supported by all the Nordic languages itself. Good. Finally, then a little bit about the security, because I think this is something that is important to kind of be aware of. And this is something that definitely quite often comes as a question that, what if I put my corporate data in the Gemini, how Google is treating them, how I can make sure that, that is not being utilized in the way that it shouldn't. So what I kind of want to always highlight is that your data is your data. We do have our contractual terms. We have our terms and conditions where we actually commit on all of this, that we do not sold or use it any kind of advertisement itself. You hold the control. So if you don't want to use our tools, you can actually turn it off. You have the full power on there. but it's also following all the existing security and compliance policies that you have set in your workspace environment. So it also follows the access rights that you have been given for a different kind of data. So if you don't have access, you cannot use that one as prompting. You cannot get an outcome of that if you don't, as an individual, have access on the source material itself. And on top of that one, we extensively actually do a third-party audits and different kind of certification for these matters that is recognized by different authorities across the globe. So one picture might be a little bit heavy, but to kind of quickly explain what you see here is that we do have what we call as two boundaries how we approach that. First one is kind of Google Workspace trust boundaries. So when we train our Gemini language models, we do that one outside of our paying enterprise customers. So we do have our own research units who are training these. We do get a lot of information from the consumers. So that's the kind of one giveaway. So as a consumer, if you get something free, there's a term saying that we can use your information to train our models. But that's very different when it comes to the corporate world where you have a paid licenses where you get all different kind of data that you want to utilize there. So that's first thing. We don't use that one to train the models. Secondary is what I mentioned already is the customer data boundaries. So meaning that we do not save the prompt, we do not save the outcome of that one. We do not allow give you results if you don't have access on the source materials itself. And you can do the audit and sovereignty on this one. So you can actually agree that how long these are saved or they're not even saved at all inside of your own environment that your administrators can then later on analyze or review in there. So that's kind of one thing that I want to be very clear at. And like I said, we do have quite many certifications and recognition on this all the way from the ISO to SOC is what has been kind of a review that how do we do these things. So that's my part. Ending on this, that we as a Google, we have been doing this for decades. We were actually just recently receiving Nobel Prize on the science part, where we did our AlphaFold model, meaning that we are analyzing and we're recognizing all the protons in the human body. We have around 15 products that is having over a billion users on daily days. So we do have a massive scale how we do things on here. So we kind of get the information quite well, what we can use on teaching these models and kind of learning from there. But we want to do it also responsibly and making sure that the security is in place on there. So therefore, kind of we as a Google, we see AI as a platform thing. So it's something that is built and grounded on everything we do on all of our products. And what you will see in the upcoming months and even quarters is that the speed is just getting faster and faster. So we are introducing much more of new features and upcoming functionalities into our Gemini models. And as now it's bundled into the actual licenses, it means that it comes right away available for all of you, rather than that it will be something that needs to be purchased separately. Good. So that's for the kind of theory part. So I recommend that, hey Casper, let's have a look. How does it actually look like?
Let's do that. So I'll try to show everything that Ville mentioned in a live action demo to get you a good insight how it actually works, what things you can utilize on your part. Now let's see. My screen should be showing. So all right, today I will introduce you all to Symbol Parts Inc., which is a automotive parts manufacturing company. So I work for Symbol Parts as a consultant and assistant to our CEO Jana, who has the task that she has a successful company, but is facing a lot of pressure from the markets. Things are moving faster than ever. The demands for quality and everything are getting higher and higher, and just the industry is moving so fast that she feels that, okay, we need to do something to stay competitive. And AI has popped up here and there. She has been talking with Gartner and is feeling like, okay, I should actually now take some initiatives to make sure that we can embrace AI in our industry to stay competitive. So now I'll try to give you a good insight how AI can actually help help us kind of achieve that that initial stage where we can start utilizing it properly. And so Jana has a leadership team meeting coming up in a couple of weeks where she will present the AI strategy, discuss it with the leadership team. So we'll help Jana gather insights, do research, and build that presentation for her management team. And starting out, we jump into Gemini Advanced here. And today, we're not just gonna do everyday tasks and discuss with Gemini, but what Ville mentioned, deep research is what we are after now. And this is something quite new, but definitely very powerful tool to get things a bit more than a superficial level. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to prompt deep research to do some insight, give me some insights from the manufacturing industry for mid-sized enterprises for leveraging AI. I added some Google flavors here because Simple Parts is a long-term customer and they have quite a lot of possibilities on that front. So we'll guide it a bit that way. So deep research gave me a research plan, how to start looking into this. Hopefully it doesn't show too small for your screens. I can maybe take it a bit bigger so it's easier to see. So here we have the plan. Everything looks pretty good, but I will actually add one more point, focus on the Nordic market. So Nordic market is the core market for Simple Parts. So let's try to get as much from that side of the globe so it's more relevant to us. So yeah, looks good. I will start my research. And now Gemini will get to work and start building me different kinds of sources, find me websites, reports, and everything around this topic. Now we have 40 websites. We can already see it building here. This is going to take a while, not hours by any chance, but at least some minutes. So it keeps building on the source materials and build me that information. So in the essence of time, we will not going to be telling any AI jokes while we wait for it to work. But I actually have it here. Sorry, not this one. Oh, there it goes. So the same type of research done a bit before, where we can see the outcome of the research. So we have a pretty in-depth type of research done with frameworks, implementation examples, the landscape, case studies, with sources that you can verify and check and delve deeper into. So it's not, or you can be as sure as possible that it's not just hallucinating on different kinds of discussions over the web. So you actually get pretty solid information and well-structured research outcomes. So here you can find different kinds of discussions, listing challenges, even costs of implementation based on different kinds of sources. That is actually really valuable for Jana in this case when bringing this up to the leadership team. And here you can also find all of the sources where it's basing its content on. And this is a really good starting point to find information and do the initial research. We could continue discussing it with Gemini here, but in a way to get these in a even more structured format with some nice multimodal features, as well as really solid grounding on the topic. We will jump into Notebook LM that Ville mentioned just a moment ago. So here in Notebook LM, I have used that information I gathered initially from Gemini's deep research. I've added the sources here, plus some extra materials and information we had, for example, in our Google Drive regarding symbol parts, strategy, and everything. So we have a pretty extensive library of sources and information that is exactly for this topic. So we're not looking at random sources in the web anymore, but we have a pretty well-grounded piece of information that we can start to have conversations with. And for Jana to start thinking, okay, what's relevant? Because there's a lot of information here. I will start by bringing out my inner manufacturing industry analyst and prompt based on this information to get some concrete examples from similar type of companies as symbol parts to get some examples on how to leverage AI in different types of operations. So I get case studies from Siemens, Volkswagen, and General Electric. Not quite mid-sized, but good example still. And here I can find directly where that source material is coming from. I can jump into my source guide and find where that information is coming from. So it's definitely as relevant as possible to what I'm working on. I'll actually zoom in a bit if it's easier to see. All right, then looking at it from potential roadblock perspective. So if I think about it from a risk management consultant's perspective, what would be the challenges or obstacles that we might see in this case? And here we can get good information. For example, data quality is going to be a key here, but then we get also a mitigation strategy. So we're not just pointing fingers, but we get actually some solutions already here. And once again, with good sources where this is coming from. And this is something that I might want to get back to at a later date. So I will save me that as a note here in my notebook LM. And so this is good information for me when building that presentation for the leadership team. But this is all in all such a good piece of information that I wish my leadership team would kind of familiarize themselves with all of this material even before our meeting. But it's pretty hard. So what I can already do, as Ville mentioned, we can create a podcast format out of all of this data. So here it actually has done it already. So I have a 15-minute podcast with two hosts discussing this entire data set in a very concrete manner. Now, I wish you could hear it because sounds are unfortunately not coming through. So I cannot give you that example now, but you can go into Notebook LM and try it for yourself. But what's cool that was added just recently, we even have an interactive mode where I can join that podcast, ask my question, and have the hosts react and answer me based on that data. And I can get perhaps some answers to my burning questions in a live format. All right, then we have a lot of information here. We've asked some questions, we've gotten some insights, but now we want to make this even a bit more actionable and start going towards that big strategy meeting with the leadership team. So actually what I will do, I will use Notebook LM to create me a briefing document out of all of this data. So we have AI in manufacturing trends, applications, and growth. A briefing document out of all of this data that I can then start to use, I could convert it as a source, use it in some other notebook as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into Gemini. So now I will switch back to Gemini Flash, which is, let's say, more suitable for this kind of conversational mode. I don't need the deep research functionality here, but I will copy the briefing document and the background and give it a bit of a prompt in the beginning. So now we'll use Gemini as an AI strategy consultant. It understands where we're coming from based on the documentation here, and give me some 5 innovative and specific ways for symbol parts to use AI within Google Workspace to address these key challenges. So here, Gemini will give us more concrete, more actionable things out of this research that we've done. And in order to make this, once again, slightly more usable for my entire team when we start to build our strategy presentation, I will push it into Google Docs. Here I can see our security classification has automatically applied this as internal. So everything by default shouldn't be going anywhere. Let's put this AI initiatives for symbol parts 2025. All right. So here I have the insights from my Gemini's AI strategy consultant. And here everything looks pretty good, but I will actually take this last part, elaborate on this topic with 5 concrete examples. So now I will use Gemini directly within Google Docs to use the same models in the background to give me more specific information here. I will replace the old point number 5 and add something more in there. All right, now I could collaborate with the team, ask for comments, and start kind of making this into something better. But I'm now, for this case, I'm happy with the content. So what I will do now is jump into my leadership team AI strategy presentation that we have here already on Google Slides. So I have created some ideas here. What should we be doing? Having an overview of things and so forth. But to make it easier for the leadership team to kind of understand where we're coming from, giving them some homework, I will create a summary slide based on this document. So now I will be using Gemini here on the side panel on slides and ask it to summarize my document that we just pushed from Gemini into Docs. So now it will do its work and give me some information that's then easily digestible by the leadership team. Some ideas, some solutions, I can see the sources if I want to retry, or if I'm happy with this, even some slightly dystopic pictures, but that's what might happen sometimes. So here I already have a summary of my research done, and to make it, I'm still lacking something. I think we could prepare the leadership team a bit better. So what I will do is I will jump into vids that Ville mentioned as a new way to bring like different types of media as sources and as a way of communication and collaboration. So let's try it with this. Please create me a short video for the leadership based on my AI initiatives document. So just by simply prompting vids, it starts to give me a video format where I can get a structure. I can change it here already, or I can just bring, okay, this theme looks good. What's a preview of the design, how things would look. I can start creating a video very easily. But once again, in the essence of time, I have done parts of this already beforehand, so we don't have to wait it to crunch it. But in a very similar way, based on actually a very similar document, I created AI initiatives for simple parts, video on vids. Here I have voiceovers, prompt created already my script for this video based on the documentation and sources, and I can record the voiceovers, or I generated an AI voiceover. But to make it more interactive, I actually did record my own face and voice into part of my leadership team presentation, so it comes in a more natural way from the team. And this what I can do now is jump into my leadership team deck and add here directly my vids video. So getting that everything directly into the deck. And to make it even sweeter, what I did is take the podcast out of Notebook LM, embedded it here in an audio file. So for the leadership team to get acquainted into this research, into the initiatives that we are planning, they can listen to the 15-minute podcast to get really good understanding of the background and the research that we've done, and then a more actionable video on the initiatives that we are planning. I cannot just directly here start playing the video and get everything working directly within slides. So this way, let's say in a couple of hours, or to give it a day, we could do industry research, build our understanding, create very targeted information insights using different personas and tackling different parts of the problem, be it risks or examples, and build out the comprehensive initiatives, ideas, and showcasing them in a different format for the leadership team. Something that in the past would have taken many days or weeks from specialized people or consultants with a really big price tag. So that's it for this demo. Hopefully it gave you some thoughts or ideas how you could embed the AI features and capabilities into your daily work. All right. Now I will ask Matilda to join us as well and give you something to take home with on the AI adoption front.
Yes. So I'm Matilda. Also, good afternoon from my side as well. So let's talk a bit about the adoption part. So we just saw what Gemini can do, and boy, it was, I guess for me at least, it was amazing to see kind of all these new features that I wasn't familiar with. But now it's time to talk about the how to implement the Gemini for our daily work. So basically, it's not about the access to the coolest technology or the coolest tools, but it's all about kind of the adoption, the successful adoption. So basically, you just can't throw any tools or technology and kind of expect your people to change their daily behavior according to these tools. We just, as a human beings, we just don't operate in that sense. So the big question is how to make a successful AI adoption. And as mentioned, the first step is to understand that the access to the tools isn't isn't enough. But it's all about the successful adoption, and adoption is all about people and changing people's behavior. So basically the daily behavior and how to affect on that part. So firstly, you need to set the stage with a comprehensive AI policy. You can think the AI policy as an AI playbook, a clear company-wide policy that ensures responsible AI usage and addressing ethical consideration, data security, compliance issues, and so on. And also it helps to prevent shadow AI. So basically stating what AI tools you can use and what tools you cannot use in your company policies. And the second point is, of course, empowering your people with the how, where, and why. So basically, give your teams the knowledge and confidence to try with these AI tools and AI features. Meaning, you need to kind of ask with these questions like, how do I use these tools? Where can I apply these in my daily work, in my work context? And then again, why should I do this? Why should I even care? Why should I change my behavior? So basically, it's all about providing the training, resource, and support to make your people this AI savvy kind of people. And the next part is to start with the quick wins. So don't try to do everything at once. Start by identifying the specific areas where AI can deliver immediate measurable benefits. So in other words, identify the high impact use cases and integrate Gemini into daily workflows in these cases first. And then, of course, bring up the small successes when going forward. And when changing people's behavior, you cannot ignore the culture, the company culture. So basically, you need to foster a culture of learning and innovation. And AI shouldn't be seen as a threat or negative disruption. But you should try to create an environment where people are excited to learn, excited to try new things, and also share the use cases, what works, what not, collaborate if there's something, some use case that really helps in the daily context. And the last part is that sometimes you need a helping hand, and partnering up somebody like GAPS, digital transformation consultant with years of experience, you can really boost up the Gemini adoption and the time to value when using these tools. And next, we will briefly showcase what Gemini adoption program by GAPS looks like and what kind of results we have achieved with this. So we've created this Gemini adoption program based on our years of experience on digital transformations, especially focusing on all the hiccups and barriers companies normally face when adopting new tools and having the kind of a human centricity in mind. So basically, this AI adoption program focuses on people and supporting the new behavior in different levels. So we start by guiding your teams through this structured process, where we start with establishing these clear AI policies and guidelines and how-to guidance of the tools. Then we train your employees with the skills that they need, for example, prompting. So if you have wake prompts, you get wake results. And with better prompting, you get better results, of course. And then again, we create and facilitate channels where your people can ask questions, share use cases, and of course, also celebrate those successes when AI has truly helped in the daily work. And with our program, we also guide to kind of measure the right KPIs and see the success in kind of with data. And here are some results with one of our customers. So basically, experimenting only 6 weeks with Gemini. Actually, Ville also showed some numbers previously, and we are in kind of we have seen the same amount that in our 6 weeks of experimentation, this 86% of participants actually indicated that they would really want to use and they saw value with Gemini and they wanted to kind of keep going with these experimentations. And then again, almost 80% of all of the respondents experienced time savings. And when digging deeper, this time that was saved was actually used to do the core work responsibilities. We had other options as well, but mostly of the people kind of really actually used the saved time to do the core responsibilities. And with this customer, kind of the most frequent use cases were related in ideation and content creation. However, this survey or these results are done before these Gemini deep researches and notebook LLMs was kind of used in this company. Do we have something else? Yeah. So the next steps.
Yeah. So we have a couple more minutes. I think we might have to come to the questions after the webinar to answer some of those. But something to know and what you can do to kind of further your own use of Gemini and Gen AI. We have a open training coming up on the 14th of March in Finnish for our Finnish customers. So it's kind of a 1 hour jump start into effective use of Gemini in Workspace. So it's open for everyone, but it's a 500 euro cost for each company that wants to send their employees into it, max 10 people for that. So if you're interested, hit us up and we'll let you know the details. Or if you're interested in discussing a Gemini adoption program for your company, same process, let us know. Let's book a meeting and have a chat about it in more detail.
We do also have this.
Yes. So Google has a Gen AI event coming up on the 13th of March. I don't know, Ville, if you want to say a couple of words, but that is coming up soon. I think we have limited space, but go ahead, Ville.
Quickly from my side. So first of all, thanks, Casper, from the demo, and thanks for all the questions. So definitely we will cover them afterwards of the webinar. So the event itself is happening in the Hotel Mestari. So we do have still some spots on there. So if this was something that got you interested, please visit on the site and please register there. So we do have some space still available for that. And I noticed that there is Casper question regarding the English and Swedish training. So maybe if you want to comment on that one as well.
Yeah, there is more trainings coming up, and what we do is also customer-specific trainings in English or Swedish or Finnish, for that matter. So if you're interested in that, please let's talk further afterwards.
So we will actually, the Q&A, we actually have so many nice questions. We will do Q&A kind of a recap and send it to you when we send the webinar recordings and everything. So we will cover at least most of the questions.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're at the top of the hour. So thank you very much, everybody. It was a pleasure to host you today, and hopefully you got something to take home with, and if you have any questions, anything on your mind, let's book a meeting and talk further. But thank you, everybody.